Hi, host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, talking in this video about endings. So in life chapters, endings can often be rather stark or abrupt. You might go one week from seeing somebody every day, and that week being the normal week for months or even years prior to that, and then starting the next week, you don't see them at all. Or not really, every once in a while maybe, but you're not together anymore. That's a stark ending, right? It's a dramatic change. And it's not a dramatic change in the moment, it's a dramatic change on the waveform, on the frequency pattern. At any given, right now, is indistinguishable for all measurable purposes from right now, but all my loved ones just died. They're not here. They could be all dead. It's possible. That'd be pretty bad. Well, not all of them. Lacey's still alive. There you go, baby. Have a blanket for you. Anyway, the point being that it's only your knowledge of their death that causes you to be sad. Your knowledge that anticipated periodics will cease to manifest. Your certainty of that. Whereas before you operated as though certain of the opposite. Endings are almost always liberating. In addition to the bad stuff. Whatever an ending has in favor of it, there's almost always going to be some bad stuff going along with it too. There's going to be some loss, some change that you don't want, a landscape of life experience that is lacking in something it once had, or is burdened by something it once was not burdened by. These changes in our lives, where our experience of being a conscious entity moving through the world becomes markedly different than it had previously, is disruptive to us because we apply that same need for stasis that we affix to ourselves to know ourselves and to have an identity that we feel we can rely upon as distinct from our functionality. That's what the feelers have, right? Their identity is distinct from their functionality. It's kind of a cheaty way to do things, the way I'm doing it. Saying that my identity will just be synonymous with my functionality. It'll just be the same thing. Well, I am what I do. I am those activities I engage in and those projects I complete. What else could I possibly be? That argument sounds inadequate. Because we are not just rational beings with a lamentably irrational reward system. I think that's how the ENTP, INTP anyway, may tend to view things sometimes. We are, in fact, beings who experience conditionality on the spiritual level, on the emotional level, as well as on the logical level. We experience causality on the experiential level, as well as on the spiritual level. This means that when your introverted feeler is experiencing feelings of the sort that I have a lot of trouble understanding what that must be like to reference that. I understand what it feels like to feel a feeling, just as they understand what it feels like to think. But I find it inconceivable to have my feelings as a reference point that I am turning to for guidance on things. Regardless of whether I find it conceivable or not, the introverted feeler is exercising conditionality on the spiritual plane. And the extroverted feeler is experiencing or is manifesting, either way, causality on the spiritual plane. We have access to a finite in scope but infinite in surface area array of options. And the options will correlate with two particular mechanisms. One, that we have the option to distance ourselves from our lives in a way that makes our lives about that distancing process. Or we have an option to submerge ourselves in our lives such that no distancing occurs, even perhaps when it ought to. And neither of these positions is whole, and neither of them is adequate to allow an individual access to the full range of human experience. I'm increasingly partial to the notion of Socionics duality, especially the way they describe it. If I could find an ISFJ who was interested in some kind of art stuff like I'm interested in, a bit, and who understood that it's not a fiery relationship. It's, you realize, at first it seems disposable, according to Socionics, first it seems disposable. The extrovert thinks the introvert's too simple. The introvert thinks the extrovert's too good for them at first. I understand that thing that they're saying there. And then I think what duality is in Socionics is the absence of the tripwires that cause problems. The absence of the tripwires that cause problems. That's what duality is. I want that experience. I want to find my ISFJ. But I probably don't have time to look for it right now. So, ISFJ lady, you're going to have to chill for a bit. find me and let's stick it out for a while. They say it takes a while to get really good, but it won't be bad. You know. All right. Talk to you later, everybody. Not just imaginary ISFJ girl, but everybody else too. This is the end of the endings video, and I like this video. I think this one came out good.